something bad happens, you get 2 minutes. You get 2 minutes to sit on it, because otherwise you just slow down your productivity of the rest of the day. There's no such thing as a full bad day. You're having a bad moment, and you need to get yourself out of it. There's this opportunity to create more joy when you don't get stuck in it. I picked apples and peaches on a farm in St. Louis, in a small town. I was the only young female picking peaches on trees. Then I finished that job besides babysitting and moved into McDonald's and did Burger King at the same time for a while during high school.
Why did you choose to do both at the same time?
I think I had a very strong work ethic early on. I truly to this day still enjoy going to work. And I think one of the things about the hospitality industry is that you go to a party every day. You walk into a restaurant, everyone wants to say hi, you're hanging out, you're learning from them, they're learning from you, and you're challenged every day with something different. And the team, to me, having fun is the most important.
Amy Hom is the COO of Barcelona Wine Bar. But long before the boardroom, she was up on a ladder picking peaches in small town Missouri and running the counter at McDonald's and Burger King at the same time. Every stop taught her the same thing. People want to feel seen. Wherever Amy leads, she pulls the unheard voices to the table, especially women and especially Gen Z. She's a believer that work should feel like a party, and that turning around someone's day is the entire point of hospitality.
Every generation adds something different. Different generations learn differently, they show up differently. I think it's important to pause and ask them what they think, make sure that they have the confidence to speak up at the room, because 9 times out of 10, they have way more knowledge than we do on a topic. I want women and men to both have a voice at the table. If we don't do that, then we silence a lot of talent. And a lot of times somebody will say to me, I didn't even think you cared. And I'm like, absolutely I do. And we need to build our business around what you think and how you want the business to be, because it has to be better than how we found it. I've never thought of myself as having limits. If I don't understand something, or I cannot teach it back, I will either disrupt a meeting and ask what the word meant, or I will go take a course. I was in a boardroom once and I said to my mentors, I need more understanding on the financials, and so then I decided to take the Harvard Business Review financial course online during COVID while running Sweetgreen. There's people that will help you, or there's classes you can take.
Well, welcome to the show, and I have a very special guest of somebody that I met a few years ago, and we've been talking about coming on the show for the last 2 years, I think. But Amy Hom, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. This is just such a joy to be on, and I love all the work you're doing too.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, I want to always start with a fun topic, which is I find it fascinating when I talk to executives about their first jobs, not their first professional jobs, not your first fast food job, but I want to know, what did you do first job?
First, I picked apples and peaches on a farm in St. Louis, in a small town. And then I finished that job besides babysitting and moved into McDonald's and did Burger King at the same time for a while during high school.
Well, we're going to talk about that one for sure, but let's pause on this apple picking and babysitting, because what I find is most people will start with the McDonald's job.
Yes.
But I find the earlier jobs is fascinating. So tell me about your memories of picking apples in St. Louis.
I believe I was the only young female picking peaches on trees amongst the guys, and I would get up there on the ladders and hang out, and we would put them in a basket. There was a widow there who had owned this farm, and her husband had passed away, so the community really kind of wrapped their arms around him. But she paid us, and then I was the one who actually sold the peaches as well. I think she kind of took a liking to me a little bit, and so it kind of teaches you a little bit about basics of business skills, right? So that's where maybe a little bit of the food industry started in my blood.
Well, it's interesting. So if you're selling peaches, but the other thing too that you probably recognized too, what you said was you were the only girl at the time.
I was.
And I think we're going to come back to that pattern in a bit. And so the other one was babysitting. So tell me about that. How old were you?
Oh gosh, maybe 13, 14 when I started. In our town, you had to get certified by the firehouse and with the firefighters. So you took all these courses, you got a certificate, and then the neighborhood kind of knew that you were allowed and able to babysit their children.
Certified.
I am still a certified babysitter.
That what was
Very
that?
cool.
What was that movie, Adventures in Babysitting?
Yes.
Do you remember that movie?
Yes, I may have done some of those things during babysitting, but nothing that crazy. Nothing to
Okay.
make a movie out of.
And what do you think those early days about picking, was it peaches and apples or just peaches?
We did peaches and we did apples on the farm. I leaned into the peach trees more than the apple trees for some reason. It was a little bit tougher to get the peaches, and I enjoyed getting up on the ladders. And when you're young, you're like, I can do what everybody else does, which I think taught me a lot, and just it kind of builds your DNA as you're growing up.
I think that says a little bit about a fearless leader emerging. How old were you when you were picking peaches and
Oh
oranges?
my gosh, I was in grade school, so 7th, 8th grade.
Wow.
Yeah.
And do you remember what it was like to have your own money? Like you're earning your own money?
Did, and you know what? Even to this day, but back then, I would put it in a drawer, and then I would tell people if somebody needs something, grab money out of the drawer, somebody in the family. I was able to make money, so I enjoyed it, but it was not I don't think I ever went out and shopped a lot at that age.
So
He
you
didn't
were
have a car, he didn't drive, there was no online shopping. So it just kind of accumulated. I wish it still did for myself, because now you can go to Amazon, but it's all the things.
We can all burn that hole in our pockets
Much
pretty fast.
faster,
Yes,
yes.
on some shoes maybe.
Small shoe collection.
Okay,
yes.
we're going to pause. But yeah, your shoes are very known in the industry, and we have some sparkly tennis shoes on today. And how many pairs of shoes do you have?
I do not know. I will say, I believe my husband has more than I do.
Oh, okay.
But if you see a good shoe and it's comfortable, right? And also if it has sparkles on it, it brings you joy, then you buy them, right?
Well, I told you I want a pair of those in teal.
I need to
so-
get you some in teal, yes.
That's great.
I've got some tasks.
You do. Okay, so I know I've heard you share the story and you already had mentioned it, about working at McDonald's and Burger King. And why did you choose to do both at the same time?
I come from a background where I think I had a very strong work ethic early on. And I truly to this day still enjoy going to work. And I think one of the things about the hospitality industry is that you go to a party every day. And it sounds crazy, but for those of you that are in it, you walk into a restaurant, everyone wants to say hi, you're hanging out, you're learning from them, they're learning from you. And you're challenged every day with something different. There's always stuff that goes on. You're trying to make sure that the culture is great. You're serving yummy, safe food. And the team, to me, having fun is the most important. So I got that from my leaders at McDonald's. And I got that, her name was Debbie. And she took me under her wing, and I became a crew leader very quickly. And I went to the McDonald's conference very early on, and it just gets in your blood. And then I'd run across the street, because you can only get so many hours. And I'd do the Burger King drive-thru, and I would just have a blast at the drive-thru. People want to have fun naturally, or they want to be connected with. Today more so than ever, right? You have more mental health issues. We have more single people living alone than ever in history. And so when they go out, they want to have a great time. And I think learning that from McDonald's and Burger King was really, really important for me.
Well, if you think back, how old were you there? You said maybe
during high school.
So
I was there
15,
junior,
16,
senior year.
17, something like that. So it's thinking back, reflecting in that joy and the connections, because you're clearly a people person for sure. But if you think back of how you were thinking about that back then, because it's so much easier to look back and now appreciate all those memories.
Yes.
But when you were that age and you're doing homework and you've got school and, friends, is there anything else that was under there to say, gosh, I just want to get more hours? Or was it really that you enjoyed it?
I think I enjoyed being at work more so than I did being at home at the time. There were some family issues there, but I felt like I was part of something at work, and I was part of a bigger vision at work. And I also saw really cool people and got to know them, whether it was a franchise owner that took the time out to get to know me as a person. They celebrated, which those that have worked with me, I'm big on the birthdays, and we have a celebrations chat at work. And it's all those small moments that make a job not feel like it's a job, but you're actually enjoying what you do every day. So watching all of that happen and understanding how that can make an employee feel, especially at a young age, is something that I've taken with me throughout the years.
No, it's very special because, and I've heard the story before too, is that sometimes when you create that family or that community outside of home, it's you want to spend more time there.
Yes,
And
yes.
so if that
And you're
brings,
learning along the way. So I was just talking to somebody about this yesterday. Why not take the free education from everyone you meet? You know, even we had lunch today, Lisa and myself and some friends, and you learn so much just sitting, and you have to take a pause and invest in yourself that way. So that's important to me.
I think that's so critical. And in today's world, in the data that you see, the research is that people they don't say they have a friend at work.
Yes.
And then sometimes people are like, do I need another friend? And that I think if you spend that many hours of the day, it's good to have a friend.
It's great to have a friend. I think the industry for men and women has grown closer since pandemic and other things. And so everyone now checks in much more on each other. And instead of being competitors in the space, we've now become a community of like, how do we help each other all succeed? So I would not, most of my closest friends are from the industry.
Yeah, we were talking about that today.
Yeah.
Lifelong friends.
Yes,
I mean,
lifelong.
friends.
And if I moved out of the industry, they would still be in my circle.
Exactly. Well, I want to go back to this McDonald Burger King because I'm so fascinated by that. So in your closet, you have both shirts. You have a
Yes.
McDonald's shirt and a Burger King shirt.
Yes.
So did they know?
Proudly.
Proudly.
And I was a candy striper. I was running all three, but it was
Oh
fun.
my goodness. So did the McDonald's know you were working at Burger King and vice versa?
Sure.
And what did they ever ask or anything?
No. I think that they knew kind of what was going on in my home life.
Yeah.
So they were very, very supportive. So no, it was, hey, what time do you got to get out of here to get to the next, to run across the street? And I would close down the Burger King and then come back on the weekends. And the other reason why everybody liked working at McDonald's was it wasn't a hospital and you could close and still hit the party scene. So there's a little bit of that too. So they closed at 8 or 9. It was in the base of a hospital. And so you get to know all the doctors and the nurses, and Burger King was a standalone. So that was not, but you got the best of both worlds.
Oh my goodness. Well, I have to share just real quick is my daughters in Salt Lake City, we were talking about earlier, they work at one of the busiest Starbucks in the University of Utah Hospital.
Wow. See, and it's so fun because you get all these regulars all the time.
All
you
the
know their
time.
orders, and it's kind of like a little bit of the Australian culture, right? It's name, face, and order. You know, when they come in, you've got Lisa's order, you're ready to go, we've got it bagged up. And you also have these really healthy doctors eating Big Macs. So the whole thing is kind of funny.
I love
Not
that.
throwing any names under the bus, but there were moments.
Well, in the hospital with coffee, the thing is they have like 20 cups of coffee and then, or so it's not onesie twosies. It's like, they're getting it for their whole office. So
Yeah.
it's high volume.
That's awesome.
In a teeny
for her.
tiny
Yeah.
space. But they work for the hospital, so it opens up tons of opportunities for them.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so
I love that.
they both enjoy it. They
That's
both enjoy
very
it a
cool.
lot.
How long have they been doing that?
So my youngest has done that for a little over a year, and then the middle daughter followed her. to
I
Starbucks.
love that. That's
Yeah.
a great story.
And they're going to be roommates.
That's the best.
Yes, so it's perfect. Well, there's another story that I know I've heard on some of the interviews that you've given, which I love the story, which was there was a moment in time that there was a promotion opportunity and you kind of said no. And we're going to talk about the whole lead and Gleam and all of that. But I want to go deeper a little bit with that story and the intersection that I saw you do literally when we were getting set up right here. Our producer, who's back in the back, you literally, what did you ask her when she was standing right here?
Just if she felt like she had a voice in the room and could she speak up? Because I see a lot of, it's not even just a woman, it's just young generation, I think, growing up differently than all of us have. I think it's important to pause and ask them what they think and make sure that they have the confidence to speak up at the room, because 9 times out of 10, they have way more knowledge than we do on a topic. And I want to know, or they add a lot of value to the topic. And I want them to, I want women and men to both have a voice at the table. We just got off a conference call and I said, we might go 5 minutes long, team, but we haven't heard from everyone. So let's just pause for a minute. Let's go around the room and let's make sure everybody's adding value. If we don't do that, then we silence a lot of talent out there.
Well, I have data to back that up.
Share more.
I do, because particularly around Gen Z, did a huge study, thousands of Gen Z, and only 16% at any given time feel confident and capable. 16%.
That is something I will take with me as a learning, because I feel it in rooms, and they every generation adds something different. There's not one generation more than other. They learn, different generations learn differently. They show up differently, but I'm learning so much from all of them, and it's the value that they add can be great if we pause for a minute and actually ask what they think. And a lot of times somebody will say to me, I didn't even think you cared. And I'm like, absolutely I do. And we need to build our business around what you think and how you want the business to be, because it has to be better than how we found it.
Well, I'll build on that, which is in this research, the other kind of, I call it the overwhelmed middle. That's
Sure.
about half. And one of them is curiosity on hold, which is basically curiosity got stripped out of them at school. And so then what happens is if they bring up an idea, they get shut down at school, they get shut down at work. So they're like, why should I try?
They've lost their voice.
Why should I try?
Sure.
And then there's afraid to start.
And we all know if you're going to be a great leader in any business, you have to stay curious.
Oh, absolutely.
So that breaks my heart that that's happening. And I think it just takes a lot of us in the industry and any business to make sure that we're asking those questions.
Well, and my goal is to be able to tell not only managers, but Gen Z, because if they acknowledge it in themselves, they will feel like they're not alone in whatever that feeling is. But it can also give tools to say, just find, continue trying all these things to give them that confidence. Because it's my goal to make sure that number next time I do the study is higher than 16% confident and capable.
It is. There is data around when you do speak up in a room, if you are a female, there is science to back it up, that a man could either take your idea and state it as something different. Everyone celebrates that. Everyone's kind of had that happen that I've talked to, but also that the women will not. I see it in our board. You see it in rooms, and so it really does take. I mean, I worked in with amazing leaders where someone will say something and then you'll get cut off and it'll move on. And yet we have allies before we go into the meeting that say, hey, if that happens again, stop. So, for example, one of my mentors, Karen Stett, she'll say, hey, let's go back to what Amy was saying. And so it's building the confidence up that what you do have to say adds value, and to pause and just make sure we're listening to everyone in the room. So I've kind of taken that along my journey to those learnings.
I think that's a great lesson. So for the leaders that are listening out there, because there's a lot of executives that follow this podcast, what advice would you give them to help them execute what you just said?
Make sure before the end or at the beginning of a meeting, you ask everyone around the table what their thoughts are before you end it. Sometimes it takes an extra 5-10 minutes. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but you are building a culture of trust and a culture where everyone's voice matters. And you're getting more for your money out of those individuals because they are sharing now how they can make the business better. And they've got great ideas.
And then I think and I love your thoughts on this, is you can't interrupt, shut them down, because that's the other thing too, right?
If they do and you're listening and you have that happen to you, you cut them off and you say, I'm speaking, let me finish my sentence.
And that's what
it is okay to say that. It's okay.
It's okay to say, let me finish.
Yes, absolutely.
And then the people.
In a kind, respectful way. Don't start cursing anybody out. Yes.
As we all adjust our, all of our body language has changed on that.
But you have to sometimes, like, let me finish what I was saying.
Yes.
Remember, I think people need to remember that most people are not truly good listeners. People are listening just to respond the minute you hear them speak, rather than truly letting somebody finish their thought and processing, and then responding. And I think people still need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable with silence before responding.
I know I am guilty of that because I ask questions for a living. So my brain is listening and I'm already like, oh, I want to ask another question on that.
Yeah.
So listening is a skill that you have to really work on for sure. Yeah. And I do want to just go back really quickly on the Gen Z comments. I think those collaborative efforts and that mutual learning about, Gen Z can learn from, our generation, but we absolutely, some of the best ideas. I'll give Harrison a shout out because we learn from each other.
Harrison's behind the screen.
Harrison is right here in
Love
the
Harrison.
And we totally talk about that all the time, which
Mhm.
is just even today, we were talking about this data file and he's like, well, I'll show you how to do that. And then, we do the same back and forth. And so it's such a collaborative effort.
It is when you
And
embrace it,
yes,
100%.
and just bringing different things to the table, it just makes it better. So I love
Agree.
that. Now, I know I have this line that I've heard you say, so I'm going to actually I want to make sure I get it correct. So when you say you can turn around somebody's day, like being in the hospitality, did I get that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a question for you to when did a guest turn around your day?
All the time. There's so many instances of that. We have a regular that goes to every single restaurant we open. His name is Chris. And whenever I see him, whether it's the good, the bad, the text, the ugly, it makes my day that he's so invested in that. And then 5 minutes later, walking over and you're seeing a little girl that's like never been into a restaurant, and I take her back to meet the chef in the kitchen or the little boy, and they're having they've never been in a restaurant kitchen, and you're thinking, this young person may end up being in the restaurant business because you're creating this moment for them, right? And then you have, I'll tell you one story that I thought was pretty incredible for me. Was I was working at Wolfgang Puck at the time, and Wolf was in the business at Spago, and there was this little 8-year-old man that shuffled in, and he had lost his wife, and I'll go really fast here. And
Take your time.
I walked over to Wolf and I go, hey, there's this man and he's here, and he met you when you were younger and growing up in the business when you were a young chef, and he's celebrating his 80th birthday. His wife's passed away. And he goes, okay. So Wolf went over, very much like Wolfgang. He grabbed a great bottle of wine. He went back, made them both lunch, and sat with him and had lunch with him. And Wolf came back over and he said, hey, Amy, can you grab him and take him back to his car? And I said, yes. And this man was just like, it almost tears me out. Like he was sobbing on the way out the door. And I tell that story because the impact, if everybody just can pause sometimes, it's not that Wolf gave back to him. I think that man gave a lot to us that day. And so there's these different days where even employees, I mean, my gosh, employees make your day, and so we're in the world of people. We're in the business of people. We just happen to serve food. And so it's incredible to see that you can empower the team to make somebody's day. We have a thing called at Barcelona Wine Bar called Be Love. And if you work in some concepts, you have to get your manager's approval. In Barcelona, they can just go do whatever they need to do to make sure that guest is loved on. And so
I remember Adam shared that story
yeah,
with me.
yeah. And so they take us up on that, and we never question it. It's just really cool. And we celebrate in the celebrations chat. We're in the year of hospitality. Last year was year of development. So they're having a lot of fun just celebrating hospitality stories. Yesterday, though, we took a pivot and I typed in contests for what are the little things that that you never really needed to know. We're learning quite a lot about like a moose and how they hibernate and just all these hilarious things. But it just gets the team engaged and pumped up.
Well, and I always say, I just have to say, is there anything else like these curious things that you didn't know you needed to know besides the moose?
These folks, the stuff the staff is putting online is, we were exec team last night. We were texting each other like, this is literally we were just sitting there laughing. They're just so engaged. And when you allow that and you allow them to have a voice and you allow them to celebrate or say these funny things, like you're allowing a lot more in the business.
Absolutely. Well, and of course, I want to hear when you do the year of joy. So after the year of hospitality, next year needs to be the year of joy. And here's why.
I'd love to hear.
Yes, because what I was just thinking about the stories, and I always talk about that, joy is the most shareable moment. And there's this circularity to it. But you have to be open to receiving it.
Yeah.
Because
I love that.
If you had a bad day, we all have bad days. But it's what you choose to do with it. Do you sit in it and just wallow and have the pity party, or do something? It's our choice. That's why I choose
100%.
joy. It's like you choose joy.
I always coach the younger leaders or the folks in our company. I'll say, if something bad happens, you get 2 minutes. You get 2 minutes to sit on it. And somebody said it back to me the other day. They said, I just sat in for 2 minutes. I go, because otherwise you just slow down your productivity the rest of the day. And I also say, there's no such thing as a full bad day. You're having a bad moment. And you need to get yourself out of it, And I'll text somebody and say I'm having a bad moment. I need to pull out of it. The rest of the day is not going to be bad. I just am having a moment. Like I forgot my shoes. Okay, I'm having a moment. I'm forgiven. It's not a big deal.
And I
or-
said, what to you? I go, we can crop your
I
feet
know,
out.
seriously, like there's always a solution, right? But you get all stressed out sometimes about it. And I think that there's this opportunity to create more joy when you don't get stuck in it for your day and in your life. And so, you know, we do heart checks at work. And I'll say on a scale from 1 to 5, how are you feeling today? Every call starts off with a heart check and every call starts off with a question of the day. And so, because you don't know where people's heads are at when you go into a meeting. But, today was like, what do you like to eat the most when you're on summer? And I'm on the call with chefs. They're like watermelon gazpacho. And I'm like, I just want chocolate and wine, right? Like it just doesn't, but it makes everyone laugh and it brings joy to the call. So I love the year of joy.
Yeah, so I
great.
expect that next year.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
we'll do that.
I will have some chats around that.
Well, I think it's good because it reminds people it is the circularity, because the story you said with Wolfgang Puck, it was that 80-year-old man gave back to your team more than he probably could ever know.
Such a great, beautiful moment. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, I want to transition. One of the other really interesting stories that I haven't heard you talk as much about was the work that you did at Reef.
Yeah, Reef Technology, yes.
Yes, and I have an interesting question. So first, just tell really quickly what it is, but then my follow-up question is, I was thinking about, so you as Amy being like the most people person, even at lunch. Amy was bussing tables at lunch, at lunch today.
Just bussing our table.
And she was filling up our water, and it was a place that didn't have table service, so not to diss the restaurant.
Can't keep the dirty dishes on the table.
Yeah, but you were out there doing that. So I was thinking about this Reef, which is the technology company, and you were in an environment that didn't have like guests because it was technology.
My guests was my staff though there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit different.
Yeah, sure.
So tell what it is and what did you learn from that Reef experience?
For those of you that don't know Reef Technology, although I think a lot of people do, Ari Avejo had a vision, and that company owned most of the parking lots in the US. And during COVID, they built vessels, aka kind of food truck kind of vessels is what they kind of look like. And we had some large restaurant chains sign up with us. Now, mind you, I came in on the back end. So this was already all kind of built. And I came in to run the operations side and the third mile. And I love to be challenged and do new things. And when I walked in the door, we had a lot of social media content. We had very heavy technology. We had a third mile department, all the things you would think of. And this vision, had it worked out really well, would have been really cool. But I ended up leaving about 10 months in. It was one of the tougher decisions where I just kind of said, I sat with Ari and just said, this not working out. And I also need to move on. So, but it was very cool. We were doing robots. Like if you go to Miami and you need a toothbrush, you'd get it in like 5 minutes from the robots. We were doing all sorts of really cool, wild things. I also will say it was one of the best staffs I've ever worked with. Everyone was hustling so hard to try to make this thing work. I mean, we were working overnight sometimes. We'd go to the office at 7, we'd leave at 3 a.m. We were trying so hard to figure it out. And the international business was strong and still is. So I still have some really great friends there. I still have Ari. But it's you learn from those experiences as well, and you take risks, and you know when you need to move on, but they're still in business and still trying to make it work.
Well, and I think to me, it just even hearing you explain a little bit of the story, your heart is in the restaurants, like actually being there in the people and listening to those frontline people, talking to the guests. Truly, you guys should have seen her today. It was just Amy in action.
It's just so natural.
It was, and literally Amy in action. We need a bumper sticker with that.
With a Dolly Parton clip, yes.
Oh, yes. Dolly Parton, Amy
Potato
loves.
chip clip, yes.
Amy loves Dolly Parton.
I do love Dolly.
So I want to ask a question around, Barcelona Wine Bar, and we're lucky enough to have one here in Dallas. And I want you to paint a picture of a busy Friday night, because the way that you guys operate
is
different. So different. But I want you to think of it not through an operator lens, but just as help everybody paint a picture, right? So walk us through that.
Gosh, it's really hard unless you've experienced it. You walk in and you literally walk into a party at your house. You're greeted with hospitality. We have a manager on the host stand at all times, which a lot of concepts don't do.
Wait, stop there.
Yeah.
Say that again.
Managers at the door, someone has to be anchored there the whole night to run the door properly.
All right.
We at times we have to go on a wait. We run our books very different. And our goal is to make sure you go to that bar and you get a great experience from a bartender that's engaging and fun and connecting with you. Whether you want to stay at the bar to get a Perone where they're standing on the bar at times and throwing the party and the music's up and it gets loud at times, or you want to go to the table. And we just happen to give everyone a great experience as a guest. We just happen to serve really yummy food with different chefs at every location. So it's pretty wild. And when I go in, you're just smiling the whole time because it is the one restaurant, I will say, that when you walk in, no one is on their cell phone.
Wow, I just got chills on that. But I want to go back. So there's two things. First is, let's talk a little bit about that because that is so true.
Mm-hmm.
And it is like coming into a home and people are engaged and that not on their phone.
Not on their phones.
And
you see people truly having a great experience with the people that they're with. Their phones are down, they're talking, they're having a great time. Food's coming out when it wants. And we have all these things as supporting actors? We've got a 400 bottle wine list, but nobody knows us for that. We've won a lot of awards, we get recognition, yet it really is because they come in and they get joy or they feel great compared to when they walked in. They come in to see their friends, the phones are down. The only thing they're doing sometimes is Instagramming the fact that they're getting Perone out of a Spanish Perone, so, but it really is.
It's truly differentiated.
It is a differentiator for us.
Yes. And that's why I wanted you to paint a picture through that lens versus the normal
restaurant
wine list and whatever.
No.
But the other thing you just skated right by that I cannot let you just skate over that is every restaurant has a chef that does what?
Creates their own menu. We have some core items. We'll have boquerones or we'll have albandegas or, different items that we keep on the core. But overall, the chef can make up 70% of their menu. And so the chefs love to work for us. They get to say on the bottom of their menu what their name. And also when I go to a restaurant, I don't just order things. I ask the chef, like, what have you recently added? And they have the autonomy to do that. And I think a lot of concepts get nervous about it. But what's cool about that is if you go to most restaurants, they have a set menu. Well, all of a sudden your commodity prices go up on one of your items. You're in the burger business or you're in the fry business and potatoes. Well, we just move it around. And so the business model is built to last and very strong. But it's really built for the guest experience because they can get pulpo or something just completely different next time they come in. And so it's almost a different experience every time you come in with the food.
But it's a surprise and delight, which everybody
Yes.
talks about, surprise and delight. But to do
Great
that
LTOs, all of that, but ours is every day.
every day. But then the confidence and the creativity and the ownership that happens.
Yes.
All
it's
of
so
those
fun
things.
because you walk in and like Chef Tommy out of Houston, I'll walk in and he'll say, oh my gosh, taste this. This is what I'm thinking about putting on the menu tonight. And it's just, I didn't know I'd say this so much, but it is pure joy for everyone because we're like super fun to see all this and they're so excited about it. And they are so talented.
And joy drives job satisfaction, guest satisfaction, retention.
Yes.
It is because when you're happy, you want to show up to work.
We have some of the best retention in the industry. We definitely focus on people's development. That's a big piece for us.
Yeah.
But it really is, are they having fun and enjoying themselves?
And I think that is so, that's why I'm so excited that you get to share that because I know sometimes we get so in the story of, the mechanics of what our brands are, what we do, but what your brand and you personally, it really is the essence of joy. I want to talk two things and before we run out of time here is you're in town, obviously, for an event that you're hosting. And tell me a little bit more, just highlight what it is, but really, why does this bring you joy doing this initiative?
You know what's interesting? I didn't realize that a lot of this until I just talked to you today. So this has been a little bit of a soul-searching conversation. We are in town, and I'll go quick. We run a nonprofit called LEAD under the Gleam Network. We have also a CAP program, and we have a mentorship program. So depending on where you're at in your career. But we started LEAD in 2019, and it has been a passion project of mine because if you are a server right now, or you're a bartender, or you're somebody that doesn't have access to people like you, or they've never been to a conference, they don't even know they exist. They don't know that, restaurant finance exists, or RLC, Restaurant Leadership Conference. You also can't afford to go.
Right.
Unless your company sponsors you. But at that level, I think the industry lost a little bit of its sexiness during COVID. We're still the second largest employer in the country, past the government. And we had lost so many team members, and they trusted us. And so we just thought we need to bring this back. We had our first conference in LA. We limit it to 100 people so that tomorrow night we have Dr. Emily Williams Knight. She supports us and comes and speaks to all of them about grit. We have Jack Gibbons and the Front Burner Society that supports almost every event we do. They give us free space. They give us AV, all the things in the food. And we just take those 100 people that sign up, want to invest themselves. We try to pay for them if we can. If not, they'll buy a ticket. That's just so we kind of lock them in for showing up. But they get to listen to people talk about how to retire, how to invest in themselves, how to learn what grit is. And then Matt Rolfe comes, who's an executive coach, and he talks about how to develop yourself. Don't put it on your leader, own it yourself. And so we're hoping, and we have seen since 2019, quite a few of our members stay in management, move up through the ranks. We have a gentleman coming to tell his story, and he came in 2019, Daniel. So I just love these folks, and it's a whole volunteer group. There's about 25 of us, and it's probably some of the best people in the restaurant industry we have on that leadership team.
Well, I want to ask a question because I love that. And I'm so sad I'm going to be out of town tomorrow. Otherwise, I would totally be there.
Next time. There'll be a next time. Yeah.
But I want to dig deeper on this idea. What do you think is driving that passion that you have for that? Like,
I hadn't thought about it until I was sitting here talking to you, that when I was at McDonald's and Burger King, they were investing in me. And I think Debbie, my GM, said to me at the time, you could do this. And I loved going to work every day. I didn't feel like it was work. I was going to a party every day. I still go to a party every day. There are some days crazier than others, yes, but you're trying to figure it out. And I think I'm good at the navigation of that. But then when it comes full circle, if everyone paused and tried to help somebody else in the industry, or they mentored somebody else and they just took a few minutes, think of all the people that helped you where you are.
Yes.
I'm sure you have people.
Absolutely.
I mean, everybody's got a tribe.
Everybody's got a tribe.
And I have a huge tribe, and I try very hard to pause and invest in those relationships. And a lot of young women reach out. I just had a young girl from Boston College, and she's like, can I just come and sit with you? And absolutely, you can find the time, but I think it's just come full circle for me. It's to give back.
It is. And I think at the end of the day, what do you think? Was it Debbie at McDonald's? What did she give you? What is that?
Time and investment,
and then
confidence. The confidence that I could be like a Debbie. And then along that trail, I went to California Pizza Kitchen. I worked for those that know, but I worked for Sarah Grover and Sue Collins, who's now, CFO of Fabletics, and Sarah's at SpaceX right now. And I remember walking into an office one day, and Sue's like, do you want people to think of you as your brain or like other? And so it's just been that people have truly invested in me. Or I go speak on a panel, or when I first started presenting, and taking a little piece of paper and saying, Amy, slow down, better eye contact. It's trying to do that for people so that they know. Now, mind you, you have to find those people that want that feedback too.
Oh, yeah. And I have all kinds of data on that. So that's for another conversation. But I think
I'm intrigued, but yes.
Yeah. What I hear you saying, though, and you've said it, but I'll just kind of underscore it, is Debbie gave you confidence.
Yes.
And that was the first thing you said to the producer here, to say, do you feel confident? And so to me, that is at the end of the day, the outcome.
I wouldn't be sitting here today.
Yeah, with that. Well, I have two closing little fun projects or fun little exercises, then we will call it a wrap. So you're going to have one card.
Okay.
Pick a card, hand it back.
Okay. Does everybody do the middle?
Harrison, we should look at that.
Now I need to know which card they choose.
Well, and Harrison got to pick the cards.
Oh. Harrison.
Okay.
Before meeting everyone?
Yes.
You pick the cards?
Yes. Okay. What one decision could you make today that would have the most positive impact on your life long term?
Investments.
Tell me more.
Need to get to retirement. probably stop buying shoes, as I'm told, and purses, and more houses and stocks.
There you go. I love it. Investment.
Investment.
And I would add to that, continue to invest in joy.
Yes.
Because that is one of my stickers.
Yes.
My other tradition is I always ask the guest to write a question, and then I ask the next guest. So here's your question.
Okay.
From my previous guest.
Okay.
Where did your personal limits as a leader begin to negatively affect your business?
It's a good question, but I have to say I've never thought of myself as having limits. I will say that if I don't understand something or I cannot teach it back, I'll either disrupt a meeting and ask what the word meant, or I will go take a course. And I was in a boardroom once and I said to my mentors, do I need to, I need more understanding on the financials. And they said, no, you don't, you know them. And so then I decided to take the Harvard Business Review financial course online during COVID while I'm running Sweetgreen. And it was so funny because half the CEOs that I asked didn't know any of the answers either. So it was a lot of business cases. And I just don't think that I felt like that. I just feel like, if I don't know, it's out there. There's people that will help you, or there's classes you can take.
Okay, and I'll go back to that was maybe you didn't have the confidence, and then you went and found the confidence by a class or
I think
whatever.
I've always been pretty, let's not think, that might be one of the things is like, I'm like, I'll just go figure it out.
Yeah.
And I don't sit in it. I don't think I really ever have. I think that's been part of my DNA is I won't sit in stuff and I'll just say, let's go figure it out. I do think I wish more people did that because it is okay if you fall.
Yeah.
And it is okay if like sometimes you get fired or sometimes you got mud on your face, but man, you won't do that again. So, what's the worst that's going to come out of it?
Well, that's a good one right there. What's the worst? I talk about that too.
Yeah.
Well, our last task is you get to write our next guest a question.
I love that. I love that you do this. It's so cool. So cute.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much,
Thank you
Amy.
for having me. It was so fun.
It was
and
so fun and very, very joyful.
Yes.
So, and
I need to get you some sparkly shoes. We'll figure that out.
And I'm going to get you some Invest in Joy stickers. So
I love it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The Business of Joy. Thanks for tuning in today. I'm Lisa Miller. In growth, it doesn't come from more data. It comes from understanding people. It's translating human truth into the business outcomes. I work with leaders to close the gap between what consumers feel and what companies need to do. It's turning emotional insights into strategic advantages. It's the clarity that you need to drive growth. If that sounds interesting, let's connect. You can reach me at lisa@lwm-associates.com or on LinkedIn, Lisa W. Miller. And remember, joy is a choice we make and a business we build, so keep investing in joy.